Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today I am starting again educational reform lecture 2. Today we will discuss some major points like education is the backbone of a nation, and this education system it is a legacy of millenniums. People from thousands of years ago they started education system, and it is developed after centuries. Every centuries it got a new dimension, and based on previous development the current situation developed further, and gradually each century education system shape a new form that is always developing from past, getting the element from past, the education system advancing towards modernity, and from past, ancient, medieval, and now the education system reached the modern age. We have to learn how this education system developed and what was the philosophy of education system before, like during the pre-Islamic period in Bengal. How was the education system during the Mauryan dynasty, during the Ashoka, and during the Gupta period, and during the Pal period, and during the Shen period, and then after Shen the Islamic period. In brief, we see during the Mauryan dynasty, means in Bengali Maurya period, there were some type of education system, and during the Gupta in Bengal until the end of middle of 3rd century the Mauryan dynasty was ruling here, and after from middle of 3rd century onward the Gupta, the Hindu dynasty, they captured the Bengal and they ruled here about 3 to 50 century, means 3.5 century. About the Hindu Gupta dynasty ruled Bengal, and then the Pal dynasty come, and Pal dynasty started from the middle of 8th century and until the 11th century, and 11th century the Shen dynasty came, and then until the fall of Shen to the Muslims they continued. And during this time there were education is very much related with culture and religion. The Mauryan dynasty, Ashoka's period, they were follower of Buddhism, and their education, culture and religion developed centering the Buddhism. And then Guptas were Hindu, and then the Gupta they started to make statues of their deities, and they were worshipping that. And after around 400 years rule of Gupta, the Pal dynasty, and when Pal dynasty come, then there is something happened that during the Gupta period there were temples in many places, and people were going to the temple and worshipping the idol gods there. And after 4th century the Hinduism was dominating the land, and the people were influenced by that type of worshiping, that they were going to temple and in front of the idol they were praying and worshipping, and the Buddhism was also influenced by that. Once the Buddhist, he did not even in belief of life after here, Parokal, Buddhist, Gautam Buddha, his philosophy was not about the life after here, but and he did not say that he is avatar, he is from God. But during the early Pal period, the people, those were Buddhist people, they also started to build temple and put there the statue of Gautam Buddha, and they were worshipping in that place. And this is a totally influence of Hinduism on Buddhism. And during the Pal period, there were Buddhism, and different types of Buddhism was derived in mainly Hinojana and Mahajana. And these two groups, each of them also 4 sections in with them, and there were 8 types of Buddhism in Bengal. And in Bengal, the Sahajiya type of Buddhism was very attracted by the people of Bengal, and the major people, they were believed in Sahajiya Buddhism. And these Sahajiya people, writers, the Sahajiya priests, they were actually writing rhymes that is called Charja Giti, Charja Pada. And this Charja Pada written by Sahajiya Buddhist monk, and they actually started to learn to read something and write something in Buddhism in Bengal. And the only specimen we have, that is called Charja Pada. And then during the Hinduism, there were different books and poets, and they were writing their poems in Sanskrit. But during the Pal period, the Buddhist, Sahajiya Buddhists, they were writing their rhyme, their religious song in Bengali, and that is accumulated in Charja Giti. But when Sen comes, then they destroyed the Buddhist temple, and the Buddhist people, they left and fled from Bengal to other places, and many of them killed by the Hindus, Sens, and they burned their books, libraries and temple. And the Hindus, they were actually promoter of Hinduism and Sanskrit language. And rather than Sanskrit, they did not patronize any other language at their court. So the literary activities was limited within the Sanskrit and Hindus at the court. And there were no the education. Our main topic is here education. From Mauryan dynasty to Gupta dynasty, Pal dynasty and Sen dynasty, in all stages the education was restricted for the lower class people. Only the elites and royal people, those were going the court, and those were very close to the ruling class people, only they had the access for education. During the Sen also like that, only Brahmins and Kayasthas, they had the right to study, to read, to write. And this is actually the citizen of the country, they were victimized, that they actually did not get the chance for education, learning. They were all only cultivating and working as a various types of worker in the society. But the education and learning only for the upper class people. And in Shen period, we see one very famous book of Git Govinda of Jayadeva, and Jayadeva wrote this Git Govinda. This Git Govinda, that is actually praying to their god and goddess, and this Git Govinda is a symbolically written just in order to say or pray the god in the skies. Until the Shen, there were no literature related to earth. Everything they were praying, they were offering, they were praising and praying for blessings towards the sky, their goddess, and there no literary text was related to the earth, to the people, to the harmony among the society. So this actually Git Govinda was actually written on Vaishnavism, Vaishnav philosophy of religion. So that is Radha and Krishna, their love and their union and separation. This is actually depicted in the book Git Govinda. So the two main thing is, during the pre-Islamic period, the education was limited to only the higher class and royal families, and the literary activities, they were offering just offering to the god and goddesses. They were praying, and literary activities was actually for sky, not for earth. This is actually Dr. Shahidullah said. Only Buddhist, Sahajiya Buddhist monk, they only written something related to earth, love between the deity and their priest, and local natural scenery, family scenario in their Charja Giti. However, after this Buddhist culture, the Muslim culture appeared. The Muslim, when 1203 means 1203, Bakhtiar Khalji, he attacked, he actually conquered Bengal. He did not attack, because when Bakhtiar Khalji was coming towards Bengal, Lakhnauti, then the Lakshman Sen, that is called Lakhan Sen, when he heard by his spies that the Bakhtiar Khalji is coming towards his capital, Bakhtiar Khalji went 17 kilometers away from palace of Lakshman Sen, Lakhan Sen. Then Lakhan Sen actually fled from the back door through the river by a boat. He fled, and Bakhtiar Khalji conquered the Lakhnauti without any bloodshedding, without any killing. So when the Bengal fall under Muslim rule, then the education system completely changed. There was a revolutionary change in education system, revolutionary change, because when Muslim came, then there were no castes, there were no differentiation between lower class people or upper class people, and education was open for all, and the Muslim ruler, they encouraged their subject for education, and they built mosque and madrasas everywhere, and all the mosque and madrasas were open irrespective of class. All type of people, various type of people from the society, they were participating in prayer, and they were sending their children to maktab and madrasa for education. Here is one point is before establishment of Islamic rule in Bengal, the Islamic education system already began 400 years before the conquest of Bengal by the Muslims. How? The people coming from Middle East, Arab and Iran through sea, they were coming for business, coming with boat, and they were bringing through their boats goods from there, and they were bringing it here in Bengal, and they were selling this here, and by that money they were buying goods from here, and they were bringing that and selling in their country, in Arab and in Persia. So the preacher, the alim, ulama, learned people, they were coming through the boat, and they were coming in this land, and they were not going back, and they were making here dargah, khanka, mosque, madrasa, and they were preaching the people, local people. And by this way, from 8th century, we know Baba Adam Shahid. He was a earliest known Sufi and a very venerated religious person. He came Bengal and in 8th century, and his grave is also here, his graveyard also here in Bengal. So since then they were the Pir, the Awliya, Darwish and Sufis, they were coming through the boat. That was actually coming from Arab Gulf region to Bengal for business purposes, and the people, the learned people, they came, and by this way we can find hundreds of shrine, mazar of the learned people, learned alim, pir, mashayikh, who traveled from Iran, traveled from Yemen, traveled from Saudi Arabia and other adjacent areas in Afghanistan, and they come here and they got settled here, established madrasas, mosque, yatimkhana, and they preached here. And it was actually just on private basis. And when Bengal fall under the Islamic rule, then the education system in Bengal got two-way development. One, as the private system was before during the Hindu Buddhist period, they were doing that, also advancing first and developing first after during the Muslim rule, and also Muslim ruler also establishing madrasa, mosque everywhere. Like Bakhtiar Khalji, when conquered Lucknowti, and he gradually got a whole area of Rangpur, Dinajpur, and until the northern part of Bogura, he established madrasa and mosque. And why mosque and madrasa, educational institution, important during the Muslim rule? Why? Because the Muslim ideology, Muslim religion makes the people learn, people read. What should they learn and read? Like, if someone become Muslim, then he should pray. If someone accepted Islam at the 12 or at the 3 p.m., then after that Asr prayer will be at 5 p.m. So the Muslim should pray for Asr, and then on Maghrib, then on Isha, and then on Fajr, and then on Johor. So every day Muslim needs 5 times prayer. So these 5 times prayers requires what? Requires going to madrasa, or sitting beside a alim to read the Holy Quran, to memorize surah, at least surah Fatiha, because without surah Fatiha no one can pray in Islam. And surah Fatiha and another 2, 3, 4, 5 small surahs from the last section of Holy Quran. So these people, this requirement makes the Muslim go to madrasa, go to the sheikh, and beside this and sit in front of him or beside him and learn how to read Quran and how to memorize other verses or other small surahs. And this is the starting, the Islamic society is starting with education. Without education, without maktab, madrasa, no one can be belonged to the Muslim society. So this is the difference between Muslim culture and Hindu or Buddhist culture, because the Hindu culture, everything they need, the Brahman should perform that. During the puja, the Brahman will read mantra, and the normal people, they do not have any obligation to read anything. All the Brahmins, they will perform they will read the text, Sanskrit text, because Sanskrit was prohibited for other people. It was only for Brahmins. And religious texts, religious prayers, even when they make nikah or marriage, then also the Brahman should come and he should recite the mantras in Sanskrit. But other people, they do not know what is it, they do not know its meaning. So the education requirement is first for Muslim, in Muslim society, in a Muslim state. It was not in Hindu, in Buddhist state before Islam. So when Muslim rule established here, then everywhere the Muslim soldier conquered every cities, every place. First thing, they build mosque and they build madrasa, because the rulers, they don't have time to teach their subject, the people. They given the authority to the ulamas, and everyone has right to go a village to a village and build a mosque and start teaching their Muslims, not only praying, they teaching them how to bury a dead man, how to dig the grave, how to wear the cloth of a dead man, and how to slaughter the cow during the Eid al-Adha, and how to go Mecca and perform Hajj. Everything, how to make ablution, wuzu for prayer, and how to pray, how to make dua. Everything requires education. So education, Islam emphasized education for all. That's why our Prophet ﷺ said, "Talab al-ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslimin wa muslimatin." যে pursue knowledge is obligatory for a man and for woman. For us, for man and for a woman, everyone, talab al-ilm, and this is the ilm. So the education system, I think I have able to make you understand what is difference between education policy, education philosophy under a Muslim rule or in a Muslim country, and education in non-Muslim country, and especially before conquest of Bengal. So this actually during the Muslim period, from the very early Muslim period, the education got impetus and emphasized by every ruler. As you know, during the Hinduism, during Shen dynasty, the Sanskrit was a sacred language, and their religious book written in Sanskrit. So only Brahmin and royal family can learn Sanskrit and read their holy text. But in Islamic society, after Bengal becoming Islamic state or is under Islamic rule, then the Holy Quran was open for all to learn, to read, and not only to learn and read, and people were encouraged to memorize Quran, to become Hafiz Quran. So this is the difference. This is not for any community, for all Muslim people, they should learn. And this way the Islamic state, they opened the door for education for all, and they have no restriction of learning Arabic language and reading the holy text Al Quran and Hadith directly. And this actually made a revolutionary achievement, revolutionary development for education among the Muslim society from the beginning of the rule in Bengal. So not only Arabic, the Muslim ruler, they also opened the door for learning Sanskrit, and they employed poets, Hindu poets, to translate their book Ramayana and Mahabharata into Bengali. And Muslim ruler, they did not prohibited learning Sanskrit. They did not. Even they encouraged, because when you asking a poet to translate Ramayana, Mahabharata, and this is actually encouraging to read and to study and to interpret the language of Hindu text into Bengali. So Muslim ruler was very open in their education system, and even the Hindu Pandits, they did not allow their people, the Hindus, to translate their Sanskrit into Bengali. They actually given a verdict, a religious fatwa, that if anyone read Sanskrit and translate it in Bengali, if anyone learn Bengali, then they will be thrown in the hell called Raurak. The Raurak hell, they will be sent who study Bengali, who studied their religious book in Bengali. So this way the Hindus, they were compelling people to not to learn Bengali and not to learn their religious text. So but Muslims, they open it for all. This way during the Muslim period, this actually Muslim during Muslim rule, the education system was completely different and a revolutionary in compared to pre-Muslim age Hinduism, and that's why the whole Bengal, there were thousands of madrasa